Minimalism is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I could yap about it all day long. It's like a diamond with many prisms, and I like to polish one side of the prism. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to polish one side of the prism of the diamond of conversation. That is minimalism. But minimalism is a very controversial topic. I mean, I feel like every innocuous topic nowadays is a controversial topic, but minimalism has its lovers and its detractors, those who love minimalism and those who just despise minimalism. I've talked at length in the archives. I've talked at length about how I was swept up into the minimalism trend or craze around 2016, 2017. I went on a giant decluttering spree after watching a bunch of minimalism videos, after reading Marie Kondo's book, the life-changing of the art of never, what the fuck is Marie Kondo's book? The life-changing magic of tidying up. Oh my God, Marie Kondo is my age. Marie Kondo is so cute. And I'm taller than her. That's neither here or there, but there's very few people that I'm taller than. So I'm taller than Marie Kondo. She's done more with her life than I have. For those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Teresa. In 2016-2017, I, along with other women in America, other millennial women in America, we got caught up in this minimalism trend. There was a lot of minimalism content on YouTube. One of my favorite things to watch. I got rid of everything I own, and now I own 25 items, and I'm always very fascinated by how somebody can own 25 items and make it work in their life. In 2016-2017, I call this the great era, the renaissance of minimalism. And I decluttered. I cleaned house, guys. I tidied up. I was sick of living in clutter. I basically cleaned house and I got rid of, I wouldn't say 100% of my household items, but I got rid of a good 25% of my household items, minus giant pieces of furniture. I got rid of some jeggings that I didn't need anymore. I got rid of some dresses that I couldn't fit into anymore. I got rid of some very uncomfortable shoes that I bought at like a swap meet back in 2002. I decluttered a good percentage of my things that I've just been clinging on to, and I don't know why. In the aftermath, in the years since then, I have admitted that I have regretted decluttering some of my things. Like I regretted decluttering my DVDs. With the knowledge at the time, how was I supposed to know that streaming would look like the way it is right now? It would be so fractured and you can't find any of the movies that you want to watch with just one streaming service. You know, I didn't know that at the time. Off went the DVDs. And I regret that. But most of the stuff that I decluttered, I do not regret. I do not regret decluttering my cheap shoes. I do not regret decluttering my jeggings. So I considered myself kind of a minimalist. When you've declared that you're a minimalist on the internet, then people will just start picking apart and looking at like your surrounding. Some people come in and they're like, I hate minimalists. Minimalism offends me to my very core. And they look at all the things around me and they're like, you don't have many things. And I don't like that. I don't like the sparseness, the Spartan, cold room. I think that's an exaggeration. I mean, there's color everywhere. There's color around me. But some people think I'm living in a prison cell. A gray, sterile, padded asylum cage is what this looks like to them. And to which I want to ask, are you blind? But then there's like the very militant minimalist, and they look at all these things and they think that I am a hoarder. You have too many things, Teresa, if that is indeed your real name. Look at all these books. Look at these stupid vases. Too many things. How dare you call yourself a minimalist? And I'm secretly thinking that these two people, the anti-minimalist and the minimalist gatekeeper, honestly, they're the same person. They live on two ends of the spectrum. You could extrapolate this to any kind of extremes on both ends of the spectrum. You guys are basically, you have different philosophies, but you're a coin flip away from being the same person. Two philosophies, same person, same result. You do have one thing in common though. We can all agree that you're very annoying. I'm gonna be the only one that says it. You're annoying. Annoying. I don't like you. Anybody with an iota of sanity in their brain doesn't like you. I doubt that you even like yourself. I don't know what the solution is. It's hard to make an annoying person less annoying. But fairly recently, I put out a video called Why Minimalism Offends You. It was kind of like a hypothetical question. There's going to be some people who, for lack of a better word, answer. Obviously, I can always tell they didn't watch the video. I was very empathetic in the video, and I had the perfect solution to bridge this strife between minimalists, extreme minimalists, and anti-minimalists. The minimalist needs the collector in order to buy up their stuff once they declutter it, and the collector needs the minimalist to sell their stuff on eBay. In the circle of life, in the food chain of getting rid of things and taking stuff in, buying and selling. Don't you see that you guys complete each other, that you need each other, that you need somebody to be the opposition of you? You need somebody to feel superior to. Look at that person with all that clutter, disgusting. Like, that makes you feel good about yourself. You need that person. You need to judge that person. Or somebody with their collection of DVDs or their action figures looking at somebody sitting in their bare room. Oh my God, what is wrong with this person? I'm glad I'm not like that. You need that person. You need somebody to make you feel superior about yourself. If that person is gone, who do you judge, you know? You're gonna look at your fellow collectors. You're not a true collector. You've taken your action figures out of their original wrapping. The minimalists had their way and they got rid of everybody with things. And they'll just sit around and like judge each other for having too many things. But I think it just went in one ear or out the other. Or they gotta write these strongly worded letters to the editor. One stood out amongst the others. It stood out in its vim and vitriol. I think that this strongly worded letter to the editor warrants a dramatic reading. The question was, why minimalism offends you? And this guy, for anonymity's sake, I'm just going to call him Buck. I don't know why I've chosen Buck. The name Buck is on the forefront of my mind, and it just rolls off my tongue. He sounds like a buck.
Because they never shut up about it, are condescending AF, and have enough money and privilege to replace anything they might need right away. Honestly, you extreme minimalists are like the love child between a CrossFit vegan and an MLM mom. Shut up about it. Shut up about it. And Kiev with your 4 items.
In a sterile Kiev. Okay, Buck has introduced me to a vocabulary word that I did not know. It's called Kiev. I don't know if it's a typo or if it is a real word, if it's a colloquialism. Huh? What does it mean? Huh? Nobody knows.
Kiev with your 4 items in a sterile white refrigerator and apartment in a walkable city.
Oh, that walkable city just makes Buck sick. Makes him sick that people are walking around and getting their exercise. Disgusting. Thank you, Buck, for that. What a lovely person you are. So Buck has a bunch of assumptions about minimalists, and he's specifically referring to extreme minimalists. However, I don't know if Buck is yelling at me or is Buck yelling at the extreme minimalists in his head. I don't know if he thinks I'm an extreme minimalist, in which case, Buck, are you blind? Look at all the stuff behind me. Or if he's just having a fight with the extreme minimalists in his head. Anybody who has extreme minimalists in your head is somebody I kind of feel sorry for. The assumption here is that minimalism is kind of like an elitist, patronizing elitist thing. You know, that's what he imagines in his mind. So his assumption is having less things means that you are rich. You could just light 20s on fire. You could just cycle through couches every 3 years or something. Just replace your wardrobe whenever you feel like it. In his mind, the extreme minimalist is a woman. Of course it is Buck. She's fit. She's a vegan, involved in MLMs, which, doesn't that require selling stuff like pearls or ugly leggings or something? Like an MLM usually requires that you try to sell something to people, unless he's implying that minimalism is the product that is being sold to people through a course. There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, I just want to thank Buck for delivering me one hell of a gift. He has given me the gift of today's video. My name is Teresa, and this is minimalism only for rich people? This is another strongly worded letter to the editor. This is not from Buck. This is from somebody named Nope.
Minimalism has done is create a culture where cold sterility is seen as desirable. I don't feel a sense of character in a minimalist home. White or off-white walls. Ugh! Shitty IKEA furniture, a crappy little bookshelf with like 4 books on it that they haven't even read.
As you can see, there's a lot of ill will toward minimalists. As an unofficial spokesperson for minimalists, even though I have like color around me and I have all these things, I need to speak up. There's a lot of ill will toward minimalists, and it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see so many people just pile on minimalists. You know, my people have been persecuted long enough. They have so few things as it is. Sitting on the floor, wearing like a burlap sack of linen, no color in their homes, dressing their baby if they choose to have one, beige. Just wearing beige all the time, or sterile gray, and not even owning any books, or owning like 4 books that they haven't read, who are apparently very rich. They're vegans, they're into MLM stuff, they do CrossFit. I mean, I guess it sounds awful. CrossFit body. Ugh, the CrossFit body. So one of the through lines that I see amongst anti-minimalists, amongst criticism of minimalism from anti-minimalists, you know, those who just despise them some minimalists. They just hate them. It's the assumption that minimalists are elitists. They're rich people. They can just light 20s on fire. They're wasteful, like they just cast away things. I only speak for myself. I don't know about you, but I'm just going to assume that most people who are going to declutter are going to take their things to Goodwill, or they're going to take their things to the charity shop or something. They're going to donate it so that other people can use it. Rarely when I declutter, I don't give them trash. If a t-shirt has a bunch of holes in it, I don't have any t-shirts with a bunch of holes in it, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give somebody in need trash. I'm going to give them good things. I'm going to give them my J. Crew chambray shirt from 2015. It's not going to waste. It is going to somebody that I hope could wear it secondhand. Or it might just, nowadays it's probably just going to go to a reseller. But, you know, back in the day, I like to believe that when I donate something, it's going to somebody who needs it. But you know what is actually really wasteful is like if you're a hoarder and you hang on to a bunch of stuff, you let that stuff molder away. That stuff could be used by other people, but you're just hanging on to it. It never sees the light of day if you keep it in such horrible conditions, because like how are you going to take care of your stuff if you have like a bunch of stuff around you? It's going to rust, maybe get water damaged. It's just locked away and it's not loved by anyone. There could be opportunities for it to find a different home, but you've just kind of kept it away from being used. And it makes a lot of sense. Marie Kondo's theory in her book that I can't remember, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, it makes a lot of sense. In Japanese Shinto Buddhism, every inanimate object has a life. Just keeping it locked away in a prison in your hoard is doing a disservice to your things. If it wants to be free, it wants to be used. If not by you, then why are you denying other people from using it? Like the case with my DVD collection, it wasn't that much of a collection, and they weren't even Blu-rays, they were just DVDs and stuff. If I'm not using it, why not just let other people use it? Why not let other people watch the 10th anniversary of Les Mis at the Royal Albert Concert Hall? Somebody needs to see it. And I recall I donated a lot of them, maybe 80% of them, to the library, so they're still getting circulated at the library, and that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like the item is being used by somebody else. Minimalists are actually really giving. Let me just argue, and I know that like a lot of people are going to disagree with me by the attitude in which I said this, but minimalists are actually very giving. But are they rich? When you see the popular minimalists, like those who have made a name for themselves as like the token minimalists, I think of the minimalists, you know, those two guys, the minimalists, and then Matt Diavella, the guy with a gray shirt, who filmed the Netflix movie and has his like popular YouTube channel, etc. Do they seem rich to you with their black t-shirts, made of merino wool of good quality. The whole idea is that you own less things, but better. Less, but better. So you don't have to keep on buying the item over and over again. So therefore, you gotta spend it all now and just stop shopping. They live in a mid-century modern apartment, and they have furniture items from the Eames collection. They have the Eames chair, popular style back in the 2010s with us millennials. And this strikes people as rich. There's no doubt that if you're buying legit Eames furniture, it is expensive. I've been to Design Within Reach. It's not within reach, guys. They always have some form of Mac computer. It's an appreciation of design and an investment of a product. They appreciate the design of Apple products, Apple computers. Can you look at what is it, Windows 8, Windows 10, and can you honestly tell me you prefer that over the design of a Mac? Steve Jobs himself, let me pull up his biography. Where's his biography? Okay, I have his biography all the way up here. And yes, I did read this book. Steve Jobs himself champions simple and elegant design. The app icons on a Mac has rounded edges. Probably took some Apple developer hours and hours of work just to get those rounded edges, but I think it's worth it. The Apple UI UX interface looks a hell of a lot better than an Android, and it still does. I sometimes look inside the Android phone and I'm like, ugh. They appreciate the industrial design of Dieter Rams. Is it elitist to have an eye or an appreciation for beauty? Okay, I've seen some seriously ugly rich homes. I've been in, don't ask me how, but I've been in some mansions, so some very rich people's homes, and they have no eye for design. And I've been in some very modest blue-collared homes. The blue-collared home is designed way better than the rich home. The eye and appreciation for beauty and design transcends social class here, transcends wealth. There's a lot of wealthy people with honestly really ugly homes. This person is blind. This person needs help. They have access to interior designer. Interior designer is just giving them what they want, I suppose. If they want to gild their mansion in gold, that's what they'll get. If they want a giant dolphin fountain, that's what they're gonna get. It's like, how some people get too much plastic surgery? It's up to the doctor to say, stop, you don't need this. There are doctors that are like, I'll give you whatever you want. All you have to do is pay for it. Sometimes you're a little too rich and everybody is sycophantic. Everybody yes mans you. You get exactly what you want, and that is not what you need. It's just dumb to assume that only good taste belongs to rich people. In actuality, there's a lot of rich people with horrible tastes, and nobody will tell them no. There are Buddhist monks out there living in beautiful shrines without a penny to their name. I have visited some puritanical homes, okay? Because I'm part of the New England Historical Society. Puritans were kind of minimalists when you think about it. Owning few things, but beautiful things, and having an eye to the design, it's not elitist, okay? Dieter Rams' 10 principles for good design. 1, good design is innovative. 2, good design makes a product useful. 3, good design is aesthetic. 5, where's 4? 4, good design makes a product understandable. 5, good design is unobtrusive. 6, good design is honest. 7, good design is long-lasting. 9, good design is environmentally friendly. 10, good design is as little design as possible. All these principles overlap with the concept of minimalism when you approach it from a design point of view. Good design is as little design as possible. Well, good design is long-lasting. It's the reason why I only wear solid color or striped t-shirts, and that I know 10 years from now I could still wear the same t-shirt. In that sense, am I lighting money on fire? No, I'm buying one solid color t-shirt so that it could last me 20 years. It doesn't mean I'm gonna buy a $300 t-shirt. Absolutely not. I'm gonna buy a $15 t-shirt at Uniqlo, and then I'm going to try to make it last 10 years. I've actually been able to make some items from Old Navy last 10 years. Even before I knew what minimalism was, I've always only worn either solid color t-shirts or striped t-shirts. It was not because I was rich, guys. It was because I did not have enough money to buy clothes, and I had to outfit repeat. So in order to stretch out my wardrobe and not to look like an obvious outfit repeater, I would buy only solid colored tops or stripes. Basically, I was just a normcore kid. I just don't understand the assumption that minimalists are rich. I guess like some people, they think like if you just put up the money up front and you invest in some good quality items up front, that means that you're rich. That doesn't really mean you're rich. It just means you're good with money. You don't have to have a lot of money to be good with money, okay? I was always under the assumption that the minimalism trend was very popular with millennials. And it's because millennials in the 2010s, we didn't have that much money. We've been knocked down a few pegs by the 2008 recession. We didn't have that much money. We had low paying entry-level jobs that most of us low man on the totem pole got laid off from. So you really had to make your dollar last longer. As we were young at the time, the youth tastemakers at the time, minimalism happened to be romanticized, like basically romanticized frugality, romanticized our inability to buy things, like our boomer parents were able to buy things. We came of age during a time when we just didn't have enough resources to buy a lot of things, and we got a lot of crap for it. And I don't want to hear anybody coming in and saying that you guys spent it all on avocado toast. To this day, I've never eaten any avocado toast, okay? A lot of us were just trying to get our lives together. We were not in the same place as our boomer parents were financially at age 22, 23, whatever. Minimalism appealed to us because we couldn't buy anything. So it's kind of like, okay, if we couldn't buy anything, let's romanticize this. Let's romanticize it so that we can live our lives. Let's make the best of a bad situation. Let's just live with less things. Let's just not buy anything at all. Let's make the things that we do have beautiful and aesthetic. Adhere to the principles of good design, which is less design. Good design is sustainable. Good design is less design. Good design will last you through the years. All minimalism has done is create a culture where cold sterility is seen as desirable. I don't feel a sense of character in a minimalist home. White or off-white walls. Ugh! Shitty IKEA furniture, a crappy little bookshelf with like 4 books on it that they haven't even read. You know, one of the things that gets on my nerves is this assumption that I see a lot. Minimalists enjoy living in a sad gray apartment. Like they love to live in a sterile environment. On the one hand, you know, some people, they really live up to that stereotype, like the famous minimalist, they really live up to their stereotype, but that's on them. That's their design choice, you know? If I were one of those like furniture-free extreme minimalists and I literally sat on the floor in a bare room, I would do everything possible to make sure that my bare room is warm and inviting. There's a futon, but it looks warm and inviting because the honey-colored golden floorboards and the warm swath of sunlight. I would not live in a sad gray apartment. Okay? If somebody's living in a sad gray apartment, in a sad gray millennial apartment, you know, minus the furniture. Let's just judge the apartment itself minus the personal touches or the furniture. Like, why is it their fault that they're living in a sad gray millennial apartment? Isn't that the builder's fault? Isn't that the landlord's fault that this apartment is sad and gray? Isn't that capitalism's fault in that like these are cheap to build? These gentrified boxes are cheap to build. Gray or white wall Swiss coffee is industry standard. Why is it the inhabitants' fault that their apartment sucks? If they had money, they would not opt to live here, but a lot of the times you have no choice but to live here. Where you work dictates where you live, okay? You want to ideally live close to where you work so you're not commuting all the time. Sometimes you have to live there for whatever reason. And if they happen to live without a lot of things in a sad gray apartment, it doesn't mean that they're rich. It just means that they don't have enough money to repaint the walls because they're renting. They don't want to spend the time painting the walls or buying like very expensive, mind you, very expensive peel and stick wallpaper. They don't want to buy a rug. They're actually being very frugal, living in this sad gray apartment that you think is rich. Buck. Not everybody has the financial ability to personalize their apartment. Okay? I know that it's like normalized nowadays to go all out, redecorate your apartment even though you're going to be there for a year. I like watching people redecorate their apartment. I like watching people give their apartment a whole paint job and then they're only going to be there a year and they have to repaint it again. And I'm like, What a waste of time. They're doing it for content. But the regular Joe and Jane, you're not filming it for content. You're just living in your apartment, and maybe you spend most of your time outside of your apartment. If the apartment is sad and gray, don't blame the inhabitant. Blame the builder for not having any taste. If you should be angry at anybody, you should be angry at the developers who build these sad gray apartments that will soon become a gentrified millennial projects, okay? You should be angry at yourself for trying to get them to buy peel and stick wallpaper when they can't afford it. What are you, a shill for capitalism or something? Buck? How is it anybody's fault that they own shitty IKEA furniture? Don't you think they would love to own a real wood dresser or a real wood TV console? I think they would, but IKEA furniture is what we have, okay? Flat pack is mostly what we have. Back in the day, people made nice furniture. And also, if you go to like Room, if you go to West, their furniture is way more expensive, but it's not that much better, okay? Just knock on the goddamn wood. If you're gonna pay like $5,000 for a bookshelf or something, they say it's walnut, but it's walnut veneer, okay? The inside is still particle board. The fact that we have low quality furniture, flat pack furniture, how is that anybody's fault? It's the world we live in now. Maybe back in your day, you had real wood furniture. I'm happy for you. Those who have shitty IKEA furniture, sorry IKEA, we love you. I love your meatballs. How is somebody having shitty IKEA furniture mean that they're rich? That doesn't make any sense. Buck's letter to the editor came with like a bunch of contradictions here. I'm trying to make sense of Buck, but it's a lot of mental gymnastics I'm dealing with. I hope I have not angered you. I probably angered Buck if he should see this. I don't want to anger Buck because Buck already sounds really angry. He told the extreme minimalist, maybe me, I don't know, shut up and Kiev with your 4 items. I don't know what Kiev means. I looked it up in the dictionary and I couldn't find anything, but I don't like the sound of it. I don't want to Kiev anything, so maybe Buck should just go Kiev himself. Let's say I get another strongly worded letter to the editor. What is the meanest emoji that I could respond with? Tell me that in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, and I'm talking to you, Buck, hopefully you're not watching this, then just Kiev away. Why torture yourself? And if you've enjoyed me, or if you don't enjoy me, but you just want to see what kind of antics I'm up to every week, every other week, and you just want to hate watch, then subscribe to my channel, and I'll see ya next time. What does Buck look like?